Hello and welcome back to 50 Shades of Greys, the podcast where we dissect sex, relationships, and emotional chaos, all through the lens of my favorite show, Grey's Anatomy. I am your host, Crystal Rose Napolitano. I am a sexologist. I am a Grey's superfan, and I'm so excited you're here. So let's dive into the content because it's a beautiful day to save sex lives. I'm so excited because this is the season finale of season 1 of both Grey's Anatomy and of this podcast. So we are on episode 10 of my podcast, and the season finale is in episode 9 of Grey's Anatomy. And to celebrate the end of season 1 of my podcast, I wanted to do something really special. And so I invited a really amazing guest on who is brilliant, not only when it comes to TV and relationships and emotions, but she's also one of my best friends in the whole world. And we've done podcasts together before, so this is super fun. It's her first time on a podcast that I've created, and I will let her do the rest of the talking. Christina, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, I'm Christina. Thank you for having me on, Crystal. And am excited to get into this episode with you. And yeah, I think that there's a lot to talk about.
I'm so excited too to get into this meet. Like, I asked you to be on this episode because I know you love Addison Shepherd. And this is her first appearance, so I'm excited to get into the meet. But please tell us about yourself and like why, besides like you being my best friend, why you are obscenely qualified to be in this podcast episode, professionally and personally.
Yes, so I went to film school in San Francisco. I studied motion pictures television with an emphasis in screenwriting. And I'm a long time just self-educated person in media, film theory, and character development, all of that fun nerdy stuff. I also work in the industry, in the film industry. I've written episodes for Disney Junior. I've worked on Lego projects, and I have a lot of experience in any type of the process of creating something for television or film. And yeah, and then I have relationship experience.
You're also a human on the planet.
I'm a human on this planet. I'm a Scorpio, so like I'm constantly doing self-work, like even at rest.
The depths are never deep enough.
Depths are never, it really is that deep, but it's actually deeper, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, I am also like fascinated, I think in the way that like I like that the relationship, emotional, intelligent part of it is like what you decided to do as your career. And then the TV and film and storytelling part of it is what I decided to do as my career. And like we've been friends for 500 years. And so,
That when I was like 15, so you
yeah,
would have been 14 and I'm 38. So that's 23 years we've known each other.
500 years.
It's nearly 2.5.
Nearly 2.5 years. We're gonna try not to do only inside jokes. So.
We're gonna try. We're also gonna say really smart shit like on this episode.
Right.
So yes, and so Christina, yeah, you've based your whole career in TV and film, and you also have a podcast currently going. So give us a little plug. Christina's like podcast and her Instagram will be in the show notes if you want to follow her. So that will definitely be there. But tell us about your podcast. Give us a little synopsis of it.
Sure. I have a podcast. It's called TaylorMade. This is for all my Swifties out there and people who aren't Swifties, because the podcast is where I, a Swiftie, take my friend Carolyn, a non-Swiftie, from blank space to Swiftie Ace. Like one song at a time. So we're going through each era, we're going through each song, and I'm just giving her the content that she needs to make an informed decision for herself if she is a Swiftie. And it's like just like pure education for her. And anyone who wants to listen, I think it's a fun show for people who are very well versed in the Swiftie universe, and Taylor in general, or people who just want to like learn. Um, who are like, what the frick is the big deal? Like, I
Mm,
get it. But so yeah, that's we are just wrapping up our third season. And you can find us on Spotify and I think everywhere else, but Spotify is probably the easiest for most people, I
great.
guess.
We'll put the podcast Instagram in the show notes, and then people can find you from there and wherever they like to listen to their podcasts. So go check it out. I've listened to it. I am not a Swiftie, but I don't like hate Taylor Swift, and I love many, many, many of her songs. And I'm a girl's girl, and I want all the women to have whatever they want. And like she did it. So let's talk
She
about
really did it. She really did it, you guys.
it. Really. She did it for all of us.
She
Um,
did.
okay, so for our episode today, I want to dive into the content because I'm so excited. And it is like such a controversial subject we're getting into today about relationships. And so, our topic, the theme of this episode is like the difference between privacy and secrecy in relationships. Like, what is good to tell your partner, and what should you not be telling your partner, and what should you not be keeping from your partner, and all of that. And I love it because there's not really a clear answer in every situation. So we're going to get into some good conversations. But by the end of this episode, what I hope is that our listeners will have some tools to kind of decipher what to share with their partner, what not to share, and have like a really good barometer for discretion. And I want to say, like, first of all, it is not good to share every like thought that comes into your head with your partner. That can be extremely painful and extremely damaging. But you also shouldn't have like major surprises of where your partner is at if they come to you and they say, I've been feeling this way for 20 years. We also don't want that either. So hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll have like a little bit of a base camp to come back to and go, okay, I have this tool to help me decide. And so we're going to get into that. But first, let's get into the episode specs. So we are on season 1, episode 9 of Grey's Anatomy. The air date is May 22nd, 2005. The episode name is Who's Zoomin' Who, originally sung by Aretha Franklin. And I think that's really funny because this whole episode has the entire hospital with an outbreak of syphilis. And it just sounds like Who's Zoomin' Who just sounds like we're all just like bruising each other and giving each other syphilis. Fun fact number 1, this episode scored 22.22 million viewers, which was the first time an episode was viewed more than 20 million people. And it was the most watched episode of season 1, which makes sense. And fun fact number 2, which I find so incredibly fascinating, this was not supposed to be the finale, actually, which is crazy. We almost didn't have this cliffhanger. Programming wanted to end Grey's Anatomy season 1 with the end of Desperate Housewives. And so they pushed the last 5 episodes of season 1 into season 2. And the original finale for this season became the episode called Bring the Pain. Because I always thought it was so weird. There was 9 episodes in season 1, and every other season has, like 15 plus.
No, I totally, that makes so much sense because the whole episode I was like, this is not a finale. What? This is not a finale. This is like a mid-season. Like it does end on that big cliffhanger, but still, that's a mid-season cliffhanger. That's like sweeps or whatever. Like we're about to go on a couple week break because it's spring break or whatever. So I've like that feeling is very much like validated. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is not structured like a finale. Like we're all just fun and games
Yeah,
in the finale. Like
it's true. Like the entire episode is just like hijinks and George
yeah.
figuring out how to deal with his syphilis.
Well, and it's funny if you think about a show that's gone so long like Grey's And the amounts of epic proportion finales they've had, when you look at this one, it's just like, yeah, like, wait, George has syphilis? Like that's what we're bringing? Okay.
Big season one. And like the only thing about this episode that feels like a finale is the cliffhanger.
Right, but even that is just like doesn't feel like it is a cliffhanger and it's a good place like if this has to be the finale, great. We did it. We accomplished. But this I could see this being like, "Oh shit, Addison's here. Can't wait for 3 weeks from now when the show's back after their break."
Yeah.
Like it's definitely that too. So, but I mean, it works. It works for all intents and purposes.
It works for season one. We wouldn't forgive
Yeah.
this later on.
Exactly. Like, can you imagine like season 7 or something? And they're like, the finale is this.
George getting syphilis.
We're getting syphilis and Christina and Izzy being like totally chaotic and ridiculous.
Like cutting it up on shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And with your TV knowledge, like why would Grey's want to end at the same time as another show? What's the value in that?
I mean, it's like definitely in like trying to boost numbers. Because Desperate Housewives, I'm sure it was the biggest show on TV. And they were because Grey's was in their freshman season. And if I remember, I feel like the fact that they couldn't let Grey's or wouldn't let Grey's do their full run of the season meant that they were worried about it. That they were like, "Oh, I don't know if this is gonna go." So they were trying to probably use the popularity of Desperate Housewives to boost Grey's. So what I can assume happened, and we could maybe like look it up, but we're not going to, is
If you ever have like a disagreement with what fun facts are or anything we say, put it in the comments. Like any listeners,
come
right?
at me, though.
Fact check us. We want it. We do the best we can with the information we have and our brains. Sorry, please continue. I just was like giving you boost that we can make smart assumptions.
We can make smart assumptions. Thank you. So, my assumption is that Desperate Housewives had their finale, and then it immediately led into Grey's finale, which means that a percentage of the viewers of the Desperate Housewives finale, which have been a boon, like huge, would stay on and watch at least the first 10 minutes of Grey's Anatomy, which would give them numbers. So that's a common thing that they do. That's why after the episode of whatever after the Super Bowl is like a very huge spot to get because people will just still have their TVs on.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and our first fun fact was that this was the first episode that was watched by more than 20 million people. And so slating it directly after Desperate Housewives. Yeah. And we can only imagine there was all this hype of like season finale of season 1 of Grey's Anatomy right after Desperate Housewives on ABC. Like we can imagine there was all this push for it. I wasn't watching the show then, but we can make another smart assumption.
I think I wasn't watching Grey's. Me and my siblings watched Desperate Housewives together every Sunday. So, I mean, maybe I was. I don't remember, but we at least watched Desperate Housewives, I'm sure, that season.
This was in 2005, so
could have been.
You were a sophomore, I was a junior.
Yeah, we used to watch them. So maybe I helped.
You maybe helped. Like you're the reason Grey's went to season 2.
I'm the reason. I knew it.
It was actually a different episode in the season that they got renewed, but that's okay. We're going to give it to you. Okay. Fun fact number 3 is that this is one of the episodes in season 1 that has a Grey Matter blog post. And it's written by like different people who work on the show. And so this one was written by Harry Worksman and Gabrielle Stanton, who were both writers and producers. And it's hysterical, this blog post, because they're literally like, I'm going to read a little excerpt, but they're like trying to figure out like how to make this episode happen. And they're like, Richard's possibly career-ending tumor. Meredith is forced to confide in Derek. Burke's oldest friend has this horrible secret. But George, what should we do with George? How about syphilis? And they talk about like going into the studio and the network trying to convince them to approve George having syphilis as a plot point. And they wrote this here below. We made public for the first time the super secret top 10 reasons we can give George syphilis list. And it's hysterical. Syphilis goes away. It's a serious STD. It has a nickname of the Sif. That's like one of the reasons to put it in the show. There was a spike in New York State like the year before. There's over 70,000 incidents a year. They say also like this would be really likely in a medical intern program for them to pass around something like this. A healthy cartoon penis. And one of my favorite reasons is ER hasn't done it. Like the show ER has not used this as a plot point. And they use it like they educate. They have all the, hospital staff in this like room and they educate them on how to have safe sex. And it's really funny. I will link the blog post in the show notes, but I was cracking up as I was reading it.
Yeah, it was really funny. I loved how they were like, we literally had to pitch it to the network. And then also we're going to pitch it to you guys right now.
Yeah. Like 20 years later.
But yeah, also we need to talk to, like, we promise it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George to have syphilis.
Dude, yeah, give anyone syphilis. Give every TV character syphilis. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And it is fun. It is hilarious. Like the scenes in the show where they're trying to deal with it, it's really well done. And I, as a sexologist, like I love anything that like destigmatizes STDs, where it's like, we don't actually have to freak out. It's dealt with in a shot of penicillin and you're going to be okay. Or you could slip slowly into madness if you don't take care of it. So
hey, it's either or. It's your choose your own adventure at this point, okay?
Right? So yeah, that's our fun fact number 3. Go read the blog post linked in the show notes. Now we're moving into the geek out part. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay.
What's your favorite, like what's the moment in this episode where you were like, oh my God, that's such good TV, or it hits you in like a really powerful way, even as a TV person?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so earlier I was like fun and games, but fun and games is my favorite thing. So to be fair. So I really loved any scene where all the interns are like being silly goofy together, is like my favorite thing. And that was always my favorite thing when I would watch the show like years ago. I always like yearned for more of that and was like, I just want to see them being friends and being funny together. And I want to hang out, like it's like that feeling. So the scenes in this one that I like kind of gave me that feeling was definitely when they were administering to George his penicillin shot and the girls were all in there and they were just like and like, they were just like being little like ooh like definitely like I don't know, it's almost like sirens like dancing around him and like poking at him and like it almost like Shakespearean in a little way. And then I also really loved in the when Izzy and Meredith are kind of being the angel and the devil on Christina's shoulder about the autopsy. And they're specifically doing that trope where like they're on either side of her and Izzy's like, do it. And Meredith is like, no, you shouldn't do it. Obviously, it's a bad idea. And so I really loved that scene too. I guess I just like love, girl stuff. I love like girls being girls and female friendships. And also in this show, there's so much competition between all of them all the time that it's really nice when they have moments of levity and connection that don't really have to do with like the bigger picture dramas, because it feels more relatable that way. Like I'm like, oh, I'm like one of them. I'm like one of those girls too, So I like when they're relatable.
I love it. Yeah, I mean one of the things I love so much about this show is like the more I peel back the layers, the more I see just like the genius behind everything
Yeah.
that was orchestrated even really early on. And I love the point you just made because I haven't thought about it that way yet, but like these are human people and they are just trying to get through a medical internship alive and they're relying on each other when they can. And the scene where they're all poking at George, like I just feel so horrible for him because he says something like, this isn't how I imagined being in a room half naked with three women. And he's just like, God help me, get me out of here. And they're loving it so much. So yeah, I love that scene. My geek out moment, I had a similar geek out moment. It's the moment where Christina and Burke, who are both such like reserved, unemotional kind of robot people, but who are wildly attracted to each other. So Richard Burke, the chief of surgery, orders everybody who is sleeping with another member of the hospital staff has to get tested because of the syphilis outbreak. And Christina is standing in line because she's sleeping with Burke. And Burke comes up to her and they're not even like looking at each other while they have this conversation. But Burke is like, you don't need to be in this line. And she's like, why? And he goes, there's no one else. And then he goes, do I need to be in this line? And she goes, no. And that's how they find out they're exclusive. They're like, oh, okay. And then Christina like walks away and she has this adorable little smile and we see her humanity come forward because she's such like a workhorse in the show and she totally has the hots for Burke and she walks away and she just does this little girly like, oh my God, he loves me, you know?
I love Christina. She's one of my favorites, but I get frustrated with her because she's so closed off. And one thing that I always like, even back when I first watched the show, the joke that I would make is like Grey's Anatomy is just a show of people who just do not say things. Like
Mhm.
they literally stand in front of each other and I'm like, I'm gonna say this, and then they do not say that thing. And then they're like, why is everything falling apart? And I'm just like, well, communicate. Like, you know. Anyway,
I'm
so
not doing a whole show on that very
I
thing.
know, exactly. So,
But I agree.
and I think Christina is like one of the biggest like problem children in that arena. Um, and I often have trouble with characters like her because that's just not how I operate at all. Like, I'm not gonna go up to you and be like, you know what, Crystal? I'm upset about this thing, but I'm not gonna tell you because you should already know. And then walk away. Like it's very, very silly. So I did love that scene as well. I loved that it felt very healthy communication for them. And like even though she's still not telling him about the other thing, right?
You can
Because
say
she's
it.
okay, good. I was like, I don't
We're
know. I
we're
mean,
assuming everybody listening to this has seen season one of Grey's Anatomy.
so she obviously still hasn't told him that she's pregnant. But there but that is like it's kind of funny because it's like yeah, that's probably the biggest thing on her mind, but also she's excited that he likes her so much
Mhm.
despite the drama of being pregnant and not telling him. So, it's just like cute.
It's so cute. And it adds another dimension to her character because Sandra Oh is so fucking wildly talented. And I love that there's more dimensions to Christina Yang than I'm all business and I'm brilliant and I have all these degrees from she's got like a PhD from Harvard and an MD from Princeton or something like that and she's got like she grew up in Beverly Hills and all she wants is to be a cardiothoracic surgeon later on. Oops, spoiler. But this just shows like a sweet little girl moment, like
She's a girl. She's just a girl.
she's
We're
really
all just girls.
we're all just girls in the end.
In the end, we're all just girls.
And Burke, like he's the head of cardiothoracic
Yeah.
surgery, and he's just like, do I need to be in this line? Like he's just a boy.
When he takes his glass, he's like, there's no one else.
Yeah,
He's like,
it's a precious little moment,
it
and
is really
it's really reminiscent of when he brings her coffee.
cute.
a few seasons or a few episodes ago, and he's like, it's just coffee, and she just kind of stares at it, and then he like goes around the corner and hides, and then she picks it up, and you can see her smiling as she drinks it, and then he comes from around the corner, and he's like, and it's like really sweet. He's like, she drinks the coffee. So I loved it. Let's go into Meredith's voiceover intro. So this like always sets us up really well for the content we're going to do, but this one is just like so on the nose. So again, we're talking about relationship secrets and privacy and what to share. So Meredith says secrets can't hide in science. Medicine has a way of exposing the lies. Within the walls of the hospital, the truth is stripped bare. How we keep our secrets outside the hospital, well, that's a little different. One thing is certain. Whatever it is we're trying to hide, we're never ready for that moment when the truth gets naked. That's the problem with secrets. Like misery, they love company. They pile up and up until they take over everything, until you don't have room for anything else, until you're so full of secrets, you feel like you're going to burst.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I have felt that way before in a relationship for sure.
Totally. And I think like 2 or 3 times in the episode, someone asks Meredith if she can keep a secret. Like, I think 2 or 3 characters ask her that question. So that
Yeah.
goes along with, like, her own secret plus people just trusting her.
Yeah. And at one point, Derek asks her and he says, can you keep a secret? And she says, better than you know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because she's like been hiding something the whole time, all of that. Okay. So we're going to paint the picture of the episode really quick. And I'm just going to name off all the dynamics that are happening where people are keeping secrets. So the first one is George has syphilis. And then he's got to tell Olivia, which he's having a hard time with. Olivia's secret is she was seeing Alex at the same time she was seeing George. And that's how she passed
Ooh.
syphilis. Boo. How she passed syphilis to George is through Alex. And Alex gave George syphilis, but he doesn't ever tell him that, even though Alex looks at George's penis and doesn't say anything.
It should have been like, hey, that looks like my syphilis.
Hey, I've seen something very similar.
Familiar. It's like the Spider-Man meme for syphilis.
Yeah. They're all just like,
Well, also like Alex is the one who administers the medicine too. So he's like the creator and the destroyer of the
George is like, I have something. Will you check my and he can't say the word penis. And Alex is like, yeah, sure. He doesn't ever find a moment to be like, yeah, did you sleep with Olivia? Richard also has a brain tumor. He won't tell anyone. He makes them close the gallery and everything so that no one can know about his surgery. Christina is pregnant, hiding it from Burke. So Burke has a good friend who comes in and he has like problems. He has pain. He's got pain in his bladder, and his wife is pregnant. And they go in and they look, inside the bladder, and they find that this male friend has an ovary and it actually makes him infertile. So they discover that Burke's friend's wife has been cheating on him and got pregnant with somebody else. And so Burke is now navigating, what do I do? Because clearly my friend has no idea. Meredith has been hiding the fact that her mother, who is this renowned, famed surgeon, and everyone keeps asking about her, she kept saying she's traveling when really she's in a care facility with really severe Alzheimer's. And then Christina and Izzy, after being told they can't do an autopsy on a patient that died suddenly, they do it anyway. And then Derek has been getting phone calls and he is ignoring them. And then at the end, we get the bombshell that he's married, and this is the biggest secret of all.
Oh my gosh.
TV history.
Our sweet baby girl, Addison.
This is there she is. She comes in like a force.
Love her. With that classic line. That classic line.
The classic line. It's her like first line. And like she's in the show for maybe 45 seconds in this episode, and it's perfect.
But yeah, no, what a bomb. I mean, if you're gonna not have it, if you're gonna make the not finale the finale, this is the one.
Fucking Kate Walsh coming in looking like a goddess.
She's so beautiful.
She's so beautiful. I'm for all those people who are like watching the video podcast, I did a red lip in honor of Addison Shepherd because she's a goddess. So all of these things are happening at once. Christina and I, in prep for recording this podcast episode, we both rewatched this episode. And when it happened, I literally wanted to scream when Addison shows up. And I've seen this episode so many times, but I was still like, holy shit, what a fucking bomb. And how dare you, Derek, when in our previous episode, like episode right before this, Meredith is like pressing him for any basic information and she can't get it out of him. And then now we find out he's had this huge secret. A note I wrote down, which really goes well with what you just said, that this is the show where people don't say anything to each other. Christina and Burke both find out they were exclusive because of the syphilis outbreak. And so do Meredith and Derek. Like two couples discover they were exclusive because of a syphilis outbreak.
Right. But completely different conversations. And like I said, like Christina and Burke's was very healthy, even though they didn't even look at each other and even like they said like 5 words maybe. But Derek took the opportunity again to be an avoidant fucking asshole to Meredith during this thing. And it just like is so frustrating. I wanted to shake him, like the way he was talking to her, like up there.
He literally said, "When would I have had the time to go get syphilis? You're a handful enough as it is."
Sir, I will push you off this fucking railing.
What?
It's so
the most.
Why would you ever say that to someone you like?
You know, the reason we allow it, this is what I have said in every podcast episode I have done so far, is because Patrick Dempsey is mind-numbingly beautiful.
Well, and Derek is, like you said earlier, he's a charming asshole. He's the epitome. Like, what are we supposed to do?
What is a woman supposed to? I'm just a girl.
He put us in this really, really upsetting position. Like, I don't want to like someone like that, but look at his face, and then he makes a quip, and you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah. I do have a sex drive, and you are turning it on. It's 21 years later.
It's really pissing me off. So, yeah, I hated that conversation they had up there. And it's a very good, like, yin and yang of Christina Yang. Of the two relationships. And it also is like kind of funny that you have these two relationships. One is clearly like, girl, get rid of this guy, and one is like a very sweet thing happening. But the one that is more toxic is the one that stays throughout the show. You know, like it's the one that keeps going. And obviously there's other reasons for Burke not being around, but like
it's awkward. That's gonna be one of my fun facts later when it's relevant. Right. It's not great.
It's not great. And like, if that hadn't happened, who knows what would have happened with Burke and Cristina. But at the same time, like Derek and Meredith are the big and carry of the show. Like, it's going to be the thing that keeps going, right? But in terms of relationship dynamics, maybe we shouldn't romanticize that kind of thing.
We shouldn't. And this is like the caveat I want to make, that like, if anybody is listening to this episode for relationship advice, if someone talks to you this way, I am not advocating that you stay with them. I'm only making the point that like Patrick Dempsey is beautiful. It's very charming and it makes for effective TV. But that doesn't mean it is good to be in relationship with. And I'm really frustrated with the character of Meredith because she just continues to smile and take it. And there's not really a point until later in one of my favorite like moments of the show where she stands up for herself in a really proper way. And even like there's another famous scene Ellen Pompeo fought back against and didn't want to make Meredith this type of girl who's just like, I'll do anything for this man. And so it's very frustrating because he's like, you're a handful enough as it is. And she smiles and it doesn't really impact her. And so for anyone listening, this is not good. Like, enjoy the show, but don't like accept this type of behavior.
And I think that obviously, like, I don't know. I think the time that it was made, this kind of communication between male and female characters was very like popular. The men kind of being the negging and then the girls being like more like docile, submissive. And so it is a product of the time, especially in the way that television was written back then. That scene now would be written very differently. And a lot of the scenes between many of these characters, male and female characters, would be written very differently today. And so that is something to keep in mind, but it doesn't mean that people like, I don't know, I think that the lesson is still there in terms of like, don't let somebody talk to you like this, even if they look like Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess if like George talked to her like that, she wouldn't take it. You know what I mean? Like,
Or Alex.
or Alex, like she beat the shit out of Alex, and he
She did
deserves it.
it in one of the first episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
throws his body on her and she pushes him against the fucking
Yeah, he'd get his ass kicked again.
by her tiny ineffectual fists.
And you know what? Derek deserves to get his ass kicked.
He does.
But then we get him in the kiss afterwards. 'Cause he's cute. I'm gonna push you down the stairs and then I'm gonna make out with you.
Make out with you because now you feel bad.
Oh, look how cute.
Okay, we're going to go into what's going on beneath the surface. So we're going to switch a little bit into like relationship, somatic, psychological lens. So I want to speak to like why all these characters, like literally the thing that you said, that they're not saying the things that need to be said. Like Derek literally has a wife. Meredith's mom is in, this home and everything like that. And I think what's really like one of the reasons people aren't having the conversations they need to have. One, they don't have emotional literacy because they're literally spending all of their time studying medicine and not emotional literacy. And they like work 100-hour weeks, right? So we have to give them a little grace. But also there's like such fear of consequences of like, if I say this thing, everything is going to end, which is like a huge indicator of lack of self-trust, that like I will be able to clean up whatever mess comes afterwards, right? And that I will be able to weather it. And so I don't know if anyone listening is feeling this, but like has anyone listening felt like if I say this thing, the world underneath me will shift so much I won't be able to recover?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, say more.
Okay. No, I think so. And I think like the just in terms of the show, the hospital is a very like it's a very like isolated place. It's very isolating as well. Like they only have these they only see each other. Like that's really it. Especially as an intern, like you're there a lot and you only see the people around you. But in real life, I think we, especially in like a intimate relationship, you want to keep the peace. I think it's natural for us to want to do that, and so we get scared to ruin the thing that we should feel the most safe in. um and these people in this show are the place they're only at is a place that they could get kicked out of at any moment for many different reasons. And so I think that just translates and reflects back into their personal lives. Um, they're not safe anywhere, certainly within themselves as well. So, but I think in terms of like my personal experience, it's just like if there when you have something you want to say that might cause some kind of friction, like the pros and cons lists in your head can like really take over. And then you're just like, well, it's just easier if I don't say nothing, you know?
Just gonna go silent.
Gonna be quiet.
I'm gonna stay quiet. Yeah, I mean, the stakes are incredibly high because if they ruin one relationship, then they have to sit with it every day. It's not like they can just like, oh, I just won't drive to that part of town anymore. That's like not what's happening here. And then this like idea of I'm gonna ruin the thing. So I want to protect the thing. And I also think that means a lack of distrust in the other person's ability to receive. And that sucks because it's like, I don't think they can handle what I have to tell them. And that could mean something about us. It could also mean something about the other person, like maybe this person really has a lot of capacity to hear my messiness and they'll surprise me. And maybe they don't. And maybe it really will go sideways the way I'm afraid of, So yeah, the stakes are really high here. And I have also like, yeah, been frozen in that like pros and cons list of like, what is the benefit of saying this? So I think that's what's like going on underneath the surface in terms of that. And it's like insecure attachment everywhere, like to everything. Like I feel like any humanity coming out is just gonna like, all of my attachments are gone. What a terrifying place to be in. And then you're operating on people with no sleep. It sounds like a recipe for disaster. It sounds like a recipe for a 22 season long show is what it is.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe we shouldn't put the people who work on our bodies through stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
You
actually
should
asked, so
get
one of my
her-
other best friends is an ICU nurse, or she was for a long time. She works in the PACU now, I think. But I was like, is it really like that in the hospitals? Like, are doctors operating after not sleeping for like 48 hours? And she was just like, yeah, it's not great. I was like, oh no.
Now when I watch other medical things because I can see how little is put into other medical things, like in terms of the actual medical like jargon and what they're doing and like the pit is so like careful of like making sure it's as accurate as possible. And our friend Kate, shout out Kate, who's also a doctor, I've asked her and she's worked in an ER forever, and I asked her and she's like, oh yeah, no, like it is like that, like the way that the pit is. But I had that thought when I was watching this episode because I haven't seen a Grey's Anatomy episode in so long, and I've been just in the pit, stuck in the pit, and it's just funny. Like I think all medical stuff is doing what they can, but it's not the priority of the story, right? Like, so, but it was just like it's just really funny anyway. But yes, they're exhausted and they're understaffed and they are overworked.
And like literal razor's edge life and death decisions.
Yes.
But coming back to what you said about like the medical accuracy, it's funny because every time I do research for this show, I have three fun facts. And so often one of the fun facts is we made a medical oopsie on this episode and on this like every time. And I'm like, I don't want to use a medical oops every episode, but it is pretty consistently there that they aren't really,
Which is okay.
which is okay. That's not the
Doesn't
point of the
make it-
show.
Yeah, it's not the point of the show at all. And it's kind of it's kind of at this point, it's a television tradition.
You know what? Fuck it all up. It's fine.
Look it all up. Let the pit do it right.
What
Nerds.
talk about
What are they
sex.
doing? They're not having sex. So we are.
I speculate the only reason this is in a hospital is so we can make the stakes so high every episode.
Of course. And I think also hospitals, they bring in such there's you can have so many different types of personalities come in and out without any like we don't have to get attached to this patient, but this patient is going to help us bridge the gap in the storyline to get to the place that we need to go, and we don't have to lean so heavily on our ensemble to do that. So hospitals, they're like perfect for that, and that's why you'll have these workplace comedies like in places that it's like customer service based or working with the public, so you can have the public bridge those gaps to relieve the characters from having to do all the work. So
Yeah. And that happens a lot in this show, a ton. Okay, let's go into sexology mode. So what's hot and what is harmful? For me, what was hot was when Meredith finally opened up to Derek. And at the end of the episode, she was like, she gives him this look like she's been hiding the fact that her mom's in a home the whole season. And she looks at him, and you can see the character decide, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him about my mom. And you see her soften. It's really beautiful acting. Like close up, we see all the muscles shift, you know? And she tells him about her mom in the home. And she basically tells him why she's been lying to him. And he gives her the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't stop even for one beat and go, wait, you've been lying to me. Like he doesn't do any of that. He goes, how severe is her Alzheimer's? And jumps in and totally gets why and is so sweet. Like we'll have to give him credit on this moment. He hasn't been great this season. And then he like strokes her cheek and gives her a kiss on the forehead. And I think it's really, he just doesn't let her be alone in her vulnerability. He jumps into it with her.
Absolutely. And like, yeah, we can give him flowers there. It's cute. It's cute. I will say that I think and this is not an admonishment of his behavior in this moment, but I do think that he sees an opportunity to, like, he's like, oh, I can help because it's a medical issue. So he capitalizes on it because that's what he does. So he knows he can be helpful in this situation. If it was something else, I don't know if he'd be as that way. You know what I mean?
You're so smart because you know, so like you're so smart because that's typical dismissive avoidance.
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
show up when it's not about me. I'll show up super fully and I can be the hero and I can help and I can do this. And that doesn't mean, like you said, that it's not sweet, but it is typical dismissive avoidant. It takes the spotlight off of him.
Absolutely. And also he did it earlier with Richard
Mm-hmm.
when he was like, "Oh, like I'm going to diagnose you and also give you the surgery immediately." Like it's like we're doing it right now because I'm a hero.
Yeah.
Because I'm the hero and I can save you and then you owe me. Just kidding. He's not really like that. But like but yeah, it's like I think that what happens with Richard earlier with him further illustrates like he is there's a savior complex, I think,
Just
here.
gonna say that. Yes.
Derek, yeah. And I think he's like, I'm useless unless I can use my talents to save people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, that's dismissive avoidant. It's like, I will do anything to avoid being seen,
Mm-hmm.
truly being seen for who I am and who the value I think that I bring, which I think is minuscule, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, having a hero complex. Yeah.
Well, and yeah, like you just said, a hero complex, but a dismissive one because everyone's like, "Wow, Derek, thanks so much for operating so quickly on the chief of staff or whatever." And he's like, "Ugh, I just had to. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm not a hero." And
Like
anyway,
that, like, when you're like, no, stop, no, stop. Like when you're
exactly. Yeah,
pushing
exactly.
away the compliments, but also begging for them.
Well, no, it's like that whole like it's like that meme of people being like, "No, I don't want that. What do you mean?" Yes, I do. Give it to me. Like, no, I'm not a hero.
It's so true. Well, it's like what's harmful. Do you have a what's hot thing to add in this episode? What was hot for you?
I think anything that's hot, it would be like, I guess the moment with Christina and Burke, and their little cute moment, I guess, is what's hot. Yeah,
And
and anything that's good communication is hot.
are you listening, boys?
I don't know. Here's a freaking tip, bro.
I saw this TikTok. No, I sent it to you, but it's like women want three things: hear them out, take them out, eat them out.
Huh,
That's it.
I'm sorry. Is that difficult?
It's a very short list. We have shortlisted what we need.
Very simple. So it's like really awkward that you can't do it. Okay.
So what's hot is great communication. What's harmful is the fact that none of these people communicate regularly well.
Well, and another thing that I like noted was they're all keeping all these secrets. They're like, we're secrets. But then they're constantly putting pressure on each other. And not even about like keeping secrets. I mean, people are asking Meredith to keep their secrets through the whole thing. But like it's like we're all like avoiding each other, but then we're constantly putting pressure on each other. And it's exhausting. Like
Madness.
what an exhausting place to be all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, not hot.
It's not hot, it's harmful. That goes in the harmful section of the podcast today. Okay. So we're going to go into political, cultural differences, gender dynamics, race, power, all of that. And for me, the biggest one that exists in this episode, and it also, like, let's name a lot of these choices are probably made because they make for good TV and we need the shock factor, right? So, again, this podcast is never a criticism of the writing. We're talking about relational dynamics and what you should or should not accept in your life. I worship the ground Shonda Rhimes walks on. So, this is not a criticism of anything about that. And it's also reflective of the time. This is 21 years ago we're talking about. So, it's all of those factors. However, when Addison comes in, her line is to Meredith and not to her cheating husband. And I want to talk about the other woman phenomenon because we so often point to the woman sleeping with the married man and we don't really admonish the man for letting her believe that he wasn't married. He never told her. She didn't know he was married until that moment where she met his wife. And this is like a gender dynamic for sure. Like, I'm just going to keep it hush hush. She's never going to know, right? And the gender dynamic that like feels so heavy is that Meredith is going to carry the weight so much more than Derek is because she will get slated as the other woman right away. And Addison is going to fight to get her husband back. And she's going to give Meredith all the shit.
Yes, because women are supposed to be morally like perfect. Like we're supposed to choose all the moral right things to do. And even if it's not, even if we don't have all the information, like we don't fucking know that he's married.
Mm-mm.
It is still our fault because somehow we should have known that it's it's the morally like I'm not being ethical. Like so and women hold each other up to this. Like we like constantly are like want the and it's like holding people up to a standard that they never asked to be held up to and holding a whole gender up to the standard. And I think that is a very like and it's easier for women to be in competition with each other that way than for us to try and like really hold men accountable for their actions and decisions,
Mm-hmm. And like to the point you just made that like Meredith quote unquote should have known, we like the subtext there is that she should have done the moral emotional labor to rectify a situation she didn't even fucking know she was in. And that's so common that women are like expected to be the moral compass in the relationship and make sure they hold the men into this place when the men need to do it for them fucking selves.
Like we're expected to literally drag men into being good people, kicking and screaming. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually socially acceptable for them to fight us on it too. Like
And then if we
which is
don't want to do that,
crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
If we don't
crazy.
want to do that, it looks like we gave up and we didn't fight and we didn't this and we didn't that. No.
Like get your man, girl. I think it's a really important moment when Addison does that. And I also noted this time when I saw it that she is looking at Meredith, but she points at both of them when she says, "You must be the woman screwing my husband," and points at Derek, but doesn't look at Derek. And it's so interesting that she points, and it was probably just blocking. So people were like, I feel like the director was like, just make sure that we know this is your husband, like we didn't know before, So, but it's also like, I don't know, like Richard like found out about them a few minutes earlier, right? Like he saw them, and then he talked to Meredith. And did that bitch say, "Hey, by the way, he's married"?
No, he
No.
did not. Bro code.
You're not a girl's girl, bro. Like, don't talk to me unless you're gonna be helpful.
I know. He only says, right, that he's an attending.
Right.
And so again, he brings in the fucking workplace hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
Which,
and I'm like, oh, he's an attending, so why are they always at her place? At her janky ass house? I'm sure Derek has a beautiful apartment somewhere.
No, he has the trailer on the land. He's got the trailer on the land.
The trailer is nicer than her nasty ass house with George and Izzy.
George's syphilis.
Yeah, syphilis all over the bathroom now because of George.
Reading naked.
Reading naked.
What is syphilis?
The book is full of syphilis now that he was reading.
Puts it on his crotch.
He literally places it upon his crotch. Now I'm like nitpicking George's scene in the beginning. Like, why is he in there? Okay, why is he in there? And then he comes out naked just with the book. You don't have a towel in there?
I know. Like I said, so many decisions were only made. I mean, you know this. I'm saying this for our listeners. So many decisions are just made for good TV. Let's hope that a person wouldn't actually do that.
No, I don't think so.
They
Also,
like,
the book name, I know it's a textbook, but it was kind of funny. It was like scratches, itches, and bumps and bruises or something like that.
Like it's a children's book.
I was like, does it rhyme?
Just and they're like, ah.
Anyway. Sorry. But that is one of the things, like, yes, the hierarchy in the workplace is like what is brought up when it's just like, can we like, there's more to the story, and I'm blaming you. I would go back to him and be like, hey, thanks for the heads up. Just kidding. I'm mad at you.
Yeah, because in him saying he's an attending, he's putting all of the weight of like the wrongness of this relationship on Meredith's shoulders. He doesn't pull Derek aside and go, "You're an attending and you're married." He doesn't do that, does he?
In fact, nobody has.
In fact, not one person has. Until Addison shows up. Until Kate Walsh in all her perfect glory walks in.
Yes.
No one does that.
No one does that.
And no then Meredith is like, shit, nothing is safe. And she has every reason to believe that.
Of course. Yeah. No one has her back. And yeah. I mean, in that way, they're all holding a secret for Derek.
Yeah.
They're all holding his secret, doing the emotional labor for him.
And I'm sorry, if you are grown up enough to operate on a brain, you are grown up enough to have hard conversations.
Exactly.
Mic drop. Okay, we're going to move through the work part of the podcast really quickly because we've touched on a lot of the points. So what does this episode teach us about desire, attachment, and communication? Well, desire is that like Derek wants Meredith enough to like breadcrumb her and still have this dismissive avoidant relationship with her, but not enough to really be honest, right? And Meredith is like, he's like putting her into an anxious place when Meredith as a character is like wildly avoidant, but he's like putting her into this place where she's like, I'm asking. So like his desire to be there but like is enough, quote unquote, to keep her around. But like desire without honesty is manipulation.
Yeah, I think a dismissive avoidant can make the most avoidant person anxiously attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And that
it's like,
is what we will say about our attachment piece, because that's like, that's it.
yeah.
And what this teaches us about communication is that no one's communicating. So, what this is teaching us is that we need to communicate, right? So, that's a really good segue into let's get into like the nuance and the meat of privacy versus secrecy in relationships. So, like I said at the top of this episode, um, it is not good to tell your partner every single thought that comes into your head. It can be very damaging because not all of our thoughts are really how we feel long term. Sometimes our thoughts are pain or triggers that have nothing to do with our partner. But it's also not good to have your partner believe that you are somebody that you are not, and then drop a bomb on them like, oh, I've been carrying this for this really long period of time. And so let's just like kind of pick this apart and like, like I said, there's not really a definitive formula that we can say do this every time, right? And this will always equal happiness between you and your partner. But I do think we can kind of fine tune a little bit more of a compass than this extreme of nothing or essentially trauma dumping, right? Which would be the opposite. So let's pick it apart.
Okay.
So for you, like what feels like the difference between privacy and secrecy in a relationship?
Um, hmm. I think I think the biggest thing, which we've already touched on, you just said, is like if there's something innately important, like something that you need to communicate that will affect the longevity of your connection with someone, that is not private because it affects both of you. And so it has to be shared. And waiting to share it is harmful and sometimes can be like end up being very like toxic and abusive, I think. To present to present reality as one way when it is not
Mm-hmm.
is, I think, abusive. Like
Mm-hmm.
so and can lead to so much heartache and so much misery and despair. So I don't think that that is private. Um, but in terms of like I think there's like little things, like I think everyone has their own private world and that people need their own private relationship with themselves. It's important, but um it's having the emotional intelligence to know when that is what you're doing, and not pushing away the person who needs to know information. I don't know. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It does. Like, and I really agree with like first us being able to have our own private world inside of us. I think like in romantic relationships I've been in, I need time to process. Like, if my partner said something and it hurt my feelings, maybe I need a couple of days to really process why, right? And I can say that to my partner. I can say, I'm processing what happened the other day, and I will bring you in when I'm ready, right? And that's not me keeping a secret from them. That's me giving my nervous system and my body time to process what I want to say, right? But they're in on my process. They know I'm having a process, but I'm giving myself the space that I need to move through it. And I think this is also like, I think in terms of privacy, I think that like when we have a past, right, that is part of our story, right? And we don't need to share every single detail of our past with our partner unless, like you said, it's going to color the relationship. Unless, like, I have a child, right? And this is my ex, and he's going to have my child every other week. And he can tend to be this way, blah, 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 blah. Like those details are very important because it's impacting the present. But like painful experiences from the past or even happy experiences or the way we loved somebody or any of that, that's part of our story. And we don't owe that part of our lives to anybody. But yeah, if you are currently in relationship with somebody and telling them we're exclusive, but you're not, that doesn't fall into the private life category.
No, and I think that if you're agreeing in a mutual agreement with someone to share a life together, whatever that looks like, then you're sharing your life together. And so, but I don't think that means that you lose your private world or that you have to share everything with them. But it does like mean that you are held to a responsibility to that person. And your life matters to them and their life matters to you. And so freaking act like it.
Freaking act like it, okay?
Hey, lock in, okay?
And like the audacity of the character of Derek Shepherd, when in our last episode 8, Meredith literally says, like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? What are your grandparents' names? And he's like, I don't have grandparents. And then he's like, you should lighten up. It's good for your blood pressure. When he was holding this secret of being married. And she was asking for like boring, like dating profile level stuff.
First date questions.
First date
I
questions.
mean, that's such a red flag. Oh God. Like if they can't answer simple questions, yikes. There's a lack of like future looking. Cause like he's like, I'm just gonna fuck with this girl and but it's certainly like the fact I'm married won't come up ever. And so I think it's just like if you are with someone and you have a thing that maybe you should tell them, like play the tape. Fast forward 5 years, say you're still with them and you still haven't told them this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do tell them this thing 5 years in. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
What could possibly be a fallout of something like that? And there's that lack of like future forward thinking that I think a lot of dismissive avoidance they just like ignore, which again, they're just avoiding. They're just avoiding like the inevitable. You can't avoid the inevitable.
Cannot avoid the inevitable, but dismissive avoidance are so disconnected from themselves that they can't even sit with what might happen. And I think like, we're trying to give our listeners tools of how to navigate intimacy. And I think the tool of run the tape 5 years from now is a really good tool because like Derek literally couldn't even run the tape for 24 hours because Addison was blowing up his fucking phone.
Right.
And he couldn't even go, oh, maybe she's coming to Seattle. Like maybe she's almost here. And maybe she's coming to do something because she is also a doctor and knows Richard Burke. They're like friends.
They all know each other. They're all.
He didn't even do that. And so I also want to speak to listeners who are anxious. So I have a tendency to be anxious and I will like over confess to make up for like not because if I'm in an anxious moment, I'll be like, oh, they should know this deep, dark thought I have, right? When I'm in an activated state, when if I wasn't activated, I would be like, oh, that's just me being human. Like I share that, but I get the desire, like I have to confess this thing. I have to tell them, otherwise I'm hiding something and I'm a bad person, right? And so I would say in those, like, this is a tool I have used is that I don't make decisions. And this is like a life rule for me. I don't make decisions like that while I'm activated. Don't make promises while you're happy. Don't make decisions while you're angry. Don't make like, should I tell them this or not while you are super activated, right?
Yeah.
Wait until you come down and then ask yourself, is this for me or is it for them? Am I like clearing my guilt here? or am I confessing this because I feel like I'm a bad person if I don't? Is this actually going to bring us together? Right?
Mhm.
Because, like, I don't know, your partner forgot to I don't know, load the dishwasher, and you have this thought in your head like, oh, fucking asshole, right? Like, it's just a thought in the head, like, you get to decide what you share with them, but our partners don't need to know everything. And so, how is this landing for you?
Absolutely, 100%. I like have that experience for sure. And I do feel like, me personally, I feel like I over explain anyway to people sometimes. Um, and so, especially in a partnership, when those thoughts come in, it's like you do feel guilty. And I think that goes along with like, because we're so anxious, we're like, I gotta get it out and communicate it so it goes away. Um, but again, like you said, like anxiety is just it's just thoughts, and thoughts are not who you are, and they don't actually control your decisions. Um, and like making sure that you're not making big decisions while anxious is a huge part. Like it's I mean, that will change your life, right? Um,
Life.
yeah. And so, but it's really hard to catch yourself, especially when there's another person involved, because you also see them as a sounding board in a lot of ways because they're your partner and you love them and they love you. Um, but again, you need your own private world, and sometimes that private world means that you are that person for yourself, and you can ride through this intrusive thought without having to cause undue drama or conflict or unease with your partner.
Yeah, and I would say too, in healthy relationship dynamics with two people who truly understand each other, if one partner is in that anxious space and going, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible person, blah, 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 don't pull information out of your partner in that moment. It's exploiting their state. It's exploiting the beliefs that are like hijacking them. Don't push that, like, don't put their feet to the fire in that moment. Your job as a secure partner is to say, I love you. Whatever you feel you need to tell me, we can talk about it again when you're feeling better. You get your nervous system regulated. You do what you need, and I'm here because I've experienced that. I've been in that state and I've had a partner push the buttons, and it makes me believe 10 times more I'm that much worse of a person. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything also that's so hard to like remember is that nothing is actually a emergency or needs to get done right now. Anything can take as much time as it needs. And in a show like Grey's Anatomy, that's not true, right? Because they're dealing with emergencies all the time. But then you see Derek putting off telling her about his wife, and then look what happened. Look what happened, Derek.
Yeah.
So, like, but I think that's a huge thing. It's just like, um, if you're in it with someone as a partnership, you're in it. That's a long time. And so let the time be taken that it needs to have a harmonious, communicative, healthy dynamic.
Mm-hmm. So let's, to the best of our ability, define secrecy and privacy. And I would say secrecy is intentionally withholding something from somebody to make them believe something different about you. Like, secrecy is like manipulating the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I would say privacy is, we haven't reached the level of intimacy where I'm ready to share. Like, that could be, right? Like, you're not going to tell your first date like all your deepest, darkest secrets. So either I'm not ready, or this is something that I don't want to exist here, or this is part of my story, or this is going to cause undue harm, or this was just me being human and it won't impact them. Like, those would be my definitions. They're incredibly nuanced, and like, there's no blanket statements for any listeners, but what would your definitions be of secrecy and privacy?
Yeah, I agree. Secrecy is the intentional withholding of information to manipulate a situation. And then privacy is your own personal world, but like I think that privacy when you first meet someone, it's like it kind of diminishes as you get closer and closer, but that doesn't mean it ever goes away. Like I don't think you ever need to feel like you have no privacy. Um, but I think that you should feel comfortable and even excited and happy to be with someone who makes you so safe, where your privacy does get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I have to say.
And yeah, I like what you said that like it never fully goes away because that's like we're edging on codependence in that
Right.
point. But
Yeah.
yeah, we do need some level of privacy and independence and our own independent thoughts. And I've like been in spaces with partners where it's like, wow, I feel like my thought is like immediately up for discussion, or like we're
Mhm.
have so much time together where it's like I didn't feel like I had an internal world.
Yeah.
It's just mine. And so I really love that point that yes, we should be able to relax into sharing more and more details about ourselves. But yeah, we should be maintaining a certain inner world where a place we can go inside of ourselves that doesn't have the voices of others, where we come back and we say, okay, like this is my world, this is my being, my personality, and how do I want to approach today or whatever. And so,
Yeah. And in a healthy dynamic, you're not like fighting for your privacy as well. I think it's just like naturally given. And in more codependent situations, you might feel like, or like it might feel like a push and pull of like, well, I need to be by myself or whatever, or like wanting that independent privacy.
okay, I like our definitions. For the listeners, like you're gonna have to decide for yourself what falls where. But just like don't be like Derek Shepherd in this season. Like it's not great. Okay, so hot tip for our listeners, I would say like start to evaluate the things you're sharing with your partner, noticing is this thing gonna bring us closer together or push us further apart? Um, I would say if you have like a thing that could risk the whole relationship, like in the example of Derek being married, those things still need to be said. And if the relationship ends, then it ends. But the micro ritual I would leave you with is like, do I want to share this for them or for me? And like take that away. Like every time you're about to share something with your partner, just have that little moment of like, is this for them or me? Okay, so to wrap it up here, I'm going to read Meredith's voiceover outro. And she says, the thing people forget is how good it can feel when you finally set secrets free. Whether good or bad, at least they're out in the open, like it or not. And once your secrets are out in the open, you don't have to hide behind them anymore. The problem with secrets is even when you think you're in control, you're not. It's always a mic drop. And this is like when we see Addison.
Mm-hmm. And
So
she's like, so you're screwing my husband?
must be the woman who's been screwing my husband.
Interesting.
Iconic Kate Walsh. Okay, well, that is the season finale of 50 Shades of
My
Grey's. Oh
gosh.
my gosh. Christina, thank you so much for being my first guest on my podcast, my first ever guest on my season finale. It was so much fun having you here.
Yeah, yeah. This has been so fun. I love the show so much. I think it's really, really good work.
Well, thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
And and I'm honored to also bring in Addison into the world, to birth her into the
World didn't
pod.
know Addison before right now.
She's, she is my child. She is my daughter. And yeah, I had a great time. Thank you for having me. And also, I forgot to say before when I was talking about my podcast that Taylor Swift does love Grey's Anatomy one of her cats is named Meredith Grey. So um, that's, that's also part of this. It's also all comes together. It's all in the zeitgeist. So
I mean, that made me love her a lot. What her
yeah.
cat.
Crossover event.
Crossover event and a little insight into me and Christina's friendship. We do this kind of conversation all day long anyway. Like we talk about relationships in this way every day. We dissect things in this way every day of our lives.
We do this every day.
We do this every day. Christina and I, so I live in Southern France. She lives in Los Angeles, and we send voice notes every day. So we know everything. There's no more internal world between us.
When we were talking about privacy earlier, that doesn't actually apply to us. I mean,
yeah,
it applies to everyone else. Everyone else should do it.
Everyone
but
else should do it.
Not us.
But we don't do it.
We don't do that. I mean, just the two of us. Everyone else.
Yeah. And Christina and I used to live together. And when we lived together, we would update each other on everything. Like, I remember one time you came in to my bedroom and you were like, you laid on my bed and you were like, and then for lunch, I had this sandwich. And I bumped my elbow and I was like, ow. You like told me about this minor injury you had. So it doesn't apply to us.
No, it doesn't apply to us. It applies to everyone else. So do it.
Do it and tell us.
Not as we do.
But thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed this season of 50 Shades of Greys. And if you and your partner are having trouble connecting, you guys love each other, but you're kind of functioning as roommates, I've designed a couples connection guide for you to reconnect with your partner in less than 10 minutes using exercises, not rehashing the same argument. It is in the show notes. Go grab it. Also, Christina's podcast will be linked in the show notes. Go listen to it, Swiftie or not. And her personal Instagram will be there too. I am thrilled to have you as a listener of 50 Shades of Greys. And if you use any of the tools that we talked about today, please put them in the comments. And thank you again. And I love you, you messy humans.
Love you.